Hey guys, Captain Matt here. We are heading out today. I got a special guest, Keith Johnson from Brainerd, Minnesota. He's delivering a load down to Key West Military Base, and he stopped on through for a couple days. So we're heading out today. We're going to try a little planer action or a little nomad. Seen a few weeds already, so we're probably going to be doing planers. So our goal today is to break the Falcon in and put the first fish on the boat. So grab your life jackets and hang on, and welcome aboard. All right, guys, here we go. It's the long-awaited first fishing run on the new Falcon. And we're working some planers. Guys, stay tuned till the end. I'm going to show you how I set the planers up on the rods and how I utilize the planer in the bridle system. Back here and real slow. Yep. You gotta keep the line like this. Right, just like that. Keep reeling. I gotta adjust the boat. Okay, guys, I got Mr. Keith Johnson on board here. I got him on the reel. This is his first time ocean fishing. Never been on an ocean boat before. So I'm gonna break him in style. We got a fish hooked up here on the planers, and we're gonna see what we got going. Keep reeling. Yep, keep reeling, Keith. Fast as you can reel. If that pointer comes up, I'm going to have to grab and pull that off. With the big head shakes. Right, yeah. You got to watch your line go back and forth. Okay, guys, when you're planer fishing, very important. When you first hook the fish and you're reeling up to the planer, you want to try to keep the rod in the rod holder. It just makes it a lot easier. And this is Keith's first time offshore, you know, because as that planer gets up here, I'm going to grab the planer here and I'm taking it out of the bridle on the line. So it's just a lot easier on the guy taking the planer off. And now Keith's free straight to the fish, and we're going to see what we got shaking. Still on there? Yep, there he comes. There you go. Pick up the rod, pick the rod up, and then back up a little bit. Keep that tip out that way, tip out that way. Back up. I'm going to gap him, so tip out. Keep reeling. More fish than he is. Holy crap. Look, a yellow jack. Nice fish. Put the rod in the holder. Nice. Put the rod in the holder. Okay, back the drag lever down just a little bit, All right, nice, huge. That's awesome. Dude, get up here, get on. All right. Hold on, let me grab him underneath here. Big yellow jack, that's a tank, man, that's awesome. Hold it. All right. First fish on the Falcon, baby, big yellow jack. All right, I'm gonna lower him down. He can flip right out of the boat. Hold on, lower him down, just hold him down lower. Okay. Oh, shit. Nice! That's awesome! That's a sushi grade fish, baby. All right, guys, first fish on the new Falcon here. Big yellow jack with my buddy Keith Johnson on a special trip down from Brainerd, Minnesota. Say hi, Keith. Keith's first ocean fish.
Damn right.
All right, there we go, guys.
Watch your
All right, guys, got another one on the second planer here. How you doing? There you go. Adjust this just a little. Okay. You feeling fighting? Jacks are super strong, so. All right, guys, you see that black section of line come in there? I marked that at 150 feet and 300 feet with a permanent marker on that braid, so I know exactly where to set my planers. One gets set at each
each level. So one at 150 and one at 350.
There's the camera at, all right. There you go. Quite like plastic, I'll tell you that. Boy, yeah, the backs are really tough. Definitely on there something going on.
Okay, this is our second fish we got on here, guys. When you're the guy grabbing the planer, you got to make sure, yeah, I'm yelling, stop, stop, stop. Keith's really excited because he's got a fish on. He wants to just keep cranking. This is why you keep your boat cruising in gear. So when you pop that planer off here, you had a little tangle, but when the boat's going in gear and you've got tension on that fish, you're not going to lose them. So I'm just getting a tangle unwrapped here. Keith's waiting on me. I got plenty of tension on the fish. Straightened it out. Did not give any slack in the line, and he's back on him.
I don't know what it is. I see it pop on top. I can pick the rod up, back up, tip out, put the rod tip out, Keith. What that does is it stops us from getting kingfish, right? Oh, it's slow, easy, keep them. Swing the line towards me, don't give them any slack. Keep reeling. No, reel. Stop right there, stop. Get him in the boat. Nice! All right, guys, kingfish in the boat. All right, give me a little bit of slack, just a little bit. Easy. Just pull it. There you go. Put the rod back in the holder. Just a little bit more slack. Give me a little more slack. Look, he's got a jig in his damn mouth, too. I can get a hold of him. That would be nice. You see why I'm being careful with him? All right, guys. Look at the jig in his mouth. He's got a yellowtail jig right in his mouth.
Okay, so if you are missing a yellowtail jig on February 22nd, give me a call.
All right. Here, we're gonna. I gotta measure it quick. Don't hang up on it. Yeah, I'm gonna just lay in the gear a second. And calm down. All right, Keith's on again here, guys. Third fish on, hooked up again on the short planer or on the high planer. So they've been hitting that one the most. We'll see what we got shaking here.
As Keith's working on these fish here, the shorter planer or the shallow planer is the one that's the longest behind the boat. So that bait is 400 feet behind the boat. So Keith is getting a good workout on his first day of ocean fishing.
There's a lot of torque in it. Besides the float came off. He came off a bit. Oh, you got something?
Okay, guys, you're probably wondering who's driving the boat at this point because there's just two of us on it. So I've got the boat on heading hold. Once we hook up on the fish, I check out the area in front of me, line the boat up where I got the fish square on the stern, and I make sure there's nobody coming our direction, no lobster pots in front of us. I take a really good look before I run back and help Keith on the planers here. So again, he's cranked it in 300 feet to get that planer off. See me get it off the bridle. And now Keith's burning again. He's got another nice fish on.
Another one. Nice, nice. Two kings in the boat. Awesome, Keith.
All right, so you guys have probably noticed each fish I catch, I'm holding them out away from me, where one, the teeth can't hit me, or two, they can't be flopping around and hit you with a hook and get yourself hooked. So that's kind of something I do on every fish. You also notice I have Keith put the rod back in the rod holder. That way he's not bouncing that rod tip around while I'm dealing with the fish, you know, trying to get him in the box and get him unhooked, because that way you got two moving pieces versus one. It's just a lot safer if the rod's in a holder before you try to take the hook out.
All right, guys, Keith's on again. Got something banging on the planer. Again, the shallow planer's been producing today. That's been our kind of our money guy there. This is the shallow one. So get the camera hooked up. Maybe that's not the best spot with all the splashing. How does it feel, big or little? Or all right, keep it coming. Tell me when you see the planer.
Okay, I got the planer off here. One thing you guys are going to notice, we're 100 feet from the fish. You can see the fish surfacing up on top of the water back there. I'm going to tell Keith, rod tip out here, because that fish will come right down the pike. If it's a kingfish or a wahoo, he'll come right down the pike straight behind the boat until he gets right behind it. Then he's going to make a decision. So by having Keith keep the rod tip out, I'm significantly lessening the chance of getting that fish in the motors. That's a nice fish, baby.
Get him in the box and settle down.
How you doing? Say hi to the camera. I gotta go this time. Nice. Oh, so how many of them you want? We'll keep this one too.
Tiring.
It is tiring. Keith's tired. All right, guys, that is. Yeah, we're doing awesome. What time is it? We're 11:30. We'll go a little bit longer, and we'll head out of here. Fish is pissed off. But good way to break in the new Falcon. All right, guys, Captain Matt here. Hey, I'm going to show you the planer setup today. So first of all, show you a couple extra tricks too. First of all, the planers. Mine are painted black. So when you're doing a planer setup with a bridle, your planer has a double swivel, and you've got to cut the end off the swivel. You can see that this guy's cut off here. He's straight here. He does not have the snap portion. So on each one, I cut off. So as you're setting up your boat to planer troll, first of all, you start with your longest planer. Get it set up, and this is the method I prefer. I like running the bridle, or you can go old school where it just clips to the back and to the front, and you hand line that last 100 feet. I lost an extremely large wahoo a couple years ago with the hand lining situation, and I've changed it, and I'm not going back because I just think it gives you a little better advantage. So you got your long planer. Very, very important when you're setting these up. You want them set up so they're the same length. So your short planer, this guy's a lot shorter than the long planer. So what I do, and I've tried a couple different methods, but right here, obviously I paint them black. They don't get eaten as much, I don't think. So on the tail end of the planer, you want them being the same length. So when you start at the top, on the tail end, you notice they're the same length right there. They're exactly the same length. So to lengthen this out, I've taken a piece of 200-pound monofilament, and I've crimped the back swivel the correct distance so both planers are the same. If you crimp this on right here initially and it's this much shorter, what happens is that bridle gets tangled up real easy on the shorter or the smaller planers. So for those of you guys that aren't used to fishing planers, this is how the planer is running when it's tripped, when a fish has grabbed it. When it's in the water towing, you're towing from the front end here. It's towing in your baits here. Once a fish grabs it, it flips like this. As you're running your planer out, when you're setting them, first of all, you want to set, you can set either the long or the short. I do it either way, it doesn't matter. But you'd get your first planer out there. I would probably run my my long one first, drop it down, boat's going this way, and the planer's, let's call it off the port side. Your planer's running off the back side here. You're gonna want to take your boat, get your second line ready, and you're gonna want to almost do a 90-degree corner. So the line is here and the boat starts going this way, then you drop your other planer so they're really far apart and then set it. Then they don't get tangled up that way. Kind of that's how I do it, and you can do it, I do it with short or long. Sometimes you catch one on the short planer, sometimes you catch something on the long planer, the other one's still in the water. To me, adjusting the boat like on almost a 90-degree angle either direction to offset where the other planer currently is will stop you from getting tangled up. I'm going to show you guys a little trick. I'm going to call this the Art Brown maneuver. From my planer up, I've got about 100-pound mono here, I believe. I think I have about 100 feet of it. So
Art was over the other day. You've seen him in a couple of my videos catching some big swordfish. He showed me this. Big shout out to Art Brown. When you need to unspool a reel, so the standard toilet paper holder or a paper towel holder on the inside. So this will unspool the reel. I'm just going to get her started here. Alright, that's pretty cool. I don't care who you are. When I got to unspool a reel, typically I put a spool on and I got a thing I put into the drill that'll unspool it, but that's a lot faster. And we always have a empty toilet paper roll around. So when you got to take off one of your smaller reels and unspool them, that works excellent. You just take it off, throw it away. So here's the bridle. The bridle's in line. So what I've got on this end is my main braid. You want to run 80-pound braid to the planer, not 65 or 70. You need to run at least 80. I've got a bimini twist on this end to a uni knot on this end. So I got a bimini to a uni. These are just the tails. This thing's been on here, I don't know, 6 months. So I'll run small spro type swivels. In between the spro swivels, guys, here's the spro swivel, 200-pound braid. And on the other end with the 100-pound mono, I run a crimp on it. You can tie it. I just think with 100-pound, the crimp seems a little better. And as you're reeling it up through the tip of the rod, you want a roller tip. You just kind of line it up when it gets there. They go through them really, really well. So when you hook your planer on, this is the end with the bait. This is the end going to the rod right here. The planer goes on, and you hook the planer on the inside of the bridle. Not on the outside, it goes inside the bridle. So right here, the planer, you need to make it long enough. Better angle here. You need to make the planer long enough where when it's tripped like this, you can see it's just a little tiny bit, it's right there. So when that fish trips it, if you got it too short, you can't trip the planer, you won't know he's on. So when you're in the set position running, it's like this. When you get bite, he trips it. So that's the reason you start with your biggest planer, you make your bridles and make 2 or 3 of them. It might take you a couple times to get them tied so they're exactly the same. But you can see the small planer, they're the same size, so they both hook in. Otherwise, you got a lot of slack here, and this one will get really tangled up if you don't do that. So that's how I set my planers, how I've got them set up on both of my rods. When it comes in, when the planer comes up, typically I'll grab the front. I don't know if there's a better way. Sometimes I'll grab the front first. Usually what I do is I grab which other end. It might get spun around a couple times, guys. Usually what I'll do is I'll grab the end that's not tangled, then I'll grab the other end, pop it out, and you may have to like untangle this a second, you know, before you reel it through. But that's very important to keep that boat moving, because that keeps tension on the fish. You're not going to lose them when you're doing this. And if for some reason the fish was really hammering it and this thing really got spun up or into a big mess, I would just take and hand line it up if I had to. But so that's my planer setup. Now when you drop the planer back, and if it's not tripped, when it gets back there, it's going through the water like this. It's not tripped. You're going to want to take your line off the tip of your rod, and I pull off about 6-8 feet, and then I drop it. You can pull it from your reel if you want, but I like to pull it off the end of the rod and drop it. And what happens is your planer's being pulled along. Your planer's pulled along like this. You pull that line back and drop it. It drops like this and sets the planer. So that's how you set the planer. You just pull about 3 to 6, I pull about 6 feet. I pull about 3 feet back. Planer's floating along, drop it, the weight stops and catches the planer. So that's how you set the planer in water. When you're getting ready to bring the planer in, you gotta kind of grab your rod here, and you're gonna whip the rod. You pull up on the planer, drop it, and just whip it really fast, and it'll unset the planer. It takes a little bit, it takes a few times to do that, to learn, to get the feeling for it. You just drop the rod down, and you kind of gotta whip it, and all of a sudden you'll feel that planer come unset. Then you gotta really crank on it, because it will reset itself. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Planer fishing's a lot of fun once you're going with your rod too, guys. So when you're cruising along, there's a lot of torque on it. The rod's bent over. When a fish hits that planer, the rod's gonna come up. It's not gonna be bent as far over. So what you're looking for is the rod to go from like here up to here. When you see the rod go up, you know you got hit. And most of the time you'll see the fish hammering, the rod tip will be hammering if he's on there. Sometimes, and they do occasionally miss it with the planer for whatever reason, either wahoo and kingfish, they try to cut the back off the bait. So when they come in, sometimes they miss the hook, sometimes they swat it and they miss it. If all of a sudden that rod tip pops up and you don't think there's a fish on it, I grab the line, drop it, and reset the planer immediately. Because if you don't, the planer's going to come up in the water column. But if you reset, a lot of times they'll turn around and try to grab it again. Okay guys, a few different style baits that we pull with planers. I've got 3 different Sea Witches here and a couple different ways to rig them. So Sea Witch, just long hair. When you rig the Sea Witch, it's got a leaded front end. This goes forward, so the hair on the Sea Witch, when you're dragging it through the water, will flow back, and it makes a pretty big profile of a bait. So this will be flowing back behind it. This is the front of it. You can see that I've got it rigged where it stops, where the hook is at the end of the Sea Witch, because wahoo and kingfish are notorious for biting. They'll bite this much off the tail of a bait, so you want that hook at the end of it. This one's rigged with 100-pound mono. I need to re-rig it. You can see there's a couple teeth marks on it. Tells you what happened. So this one is also set up, I think this is like a 9/0 size hook. Very, very sharp. Make sure you sharpen your hooks for these guys. This is soft stainless steel wire. It's probably 250 pound. It's wrapped through. This is set up to put a bait strip on it. A couple different kinds you can use. I use bonita strips a lot, or you can manufacture like a Mylar strip like this. And the way you put your bait strip on, whether it's bonita, Mylar, you measure where the strip's going to go. Where the shank of the hook starts to turn right here, that's where you're going to want to put the hook through it. So on this one, the hook's going to go right through there. I've got it marked there. I'm not going to stick it in my finger because that would hurt. So the hook goes there and it slides up on the hook. Then you take the stainless steel end and you punch it through that as well and bend it up. So there, you can see the hook's perfect. That strip is perfect on there. But you got to get it right at the shank, right where she first starts spinning the corner. Like I said, I use bonita strips, I use Mylar strips. Any of them will work. So this is one style of lure, and there's 100 different colors of Sea Witches you can do. Pink's always kind of a favorite of mine. Obviously, he's got teeth marks on it. So that's one of them. Another one's yellow. This one, instead of the Mylar strip, I've got it set up with a Mylar with a little trolling head with Mylar on it. The Mylar gives it a little extra flash. Wahoo really liked the Mylar. So this, and it gives it a little bigger profile as you control it. And you can see here, the end of the hook's right at the end again. And this hook is set up as well, set up with a piece of, soft stainless to put a strip on it. And that's, I believe, a 9/0 hook as well on that one. Another style of head that I troll behind him, this guy's a bullet head. He's got a little bit more weight to him. He doesn't trip the planer. You don't want too heavy a lure, it's going to trip that planer. So he's set up with a Mylar strip. And again, a 9/0 hook, stainless, soft stainless
to put on a bonita strip or another Mylar strip. Most of them, like these, I'm rigging with 200 pound. You know, it's very unusual that you'll get cut off, but when, you know, with this style lure, I can also troll this very fast. So I want a little heavier cable on there, or a little heavier mono. And honestly, my hottest lure I've had going the last couple trips out, this is about a 4.5 inch, 5 inch, it's about 5 inch drone spoon. This has been it. There's a couple different styles of these. I've got the ones that the hook screws in. I honestly don't like it that well because, first of all, you can see the thing's rusty. This was new a couple weeks ago. I rinse my tackle every day, clean it. It goes in the box. I got a Z-tab to help prevent rust in the box, and it still gets rusty. They've got another style of hook that comes down, bends, and goes through like this and holds it in place. I've got some of those on order. I'll show you. You guys will see some of those in action when I get them. But when I was out with Keith on this particular trip, this caught 4 fish, and one of the, I think we caught on the blue and white, we caught 1. So 4 to 1. I was out again yesterday. Every bite was on the drone spoon, you guys. But so don't be afraid to pull one of these guys in your spread. And I'll change up. Maybe I'll have this guy on first, and maybe I'll go to light, then maybe to dark if they're not hitting the other lure. And they might be hitting. I've been running the drone spoon on the top one. I'm going to try the bottom. They might be just hitting the higher spoon versus the lower bait. I did not change that up. I didn't test that. But next time I'm out, I'm going to test that a little bit. If I get 2 bites on this, I'm going to flip-flop the lures around and see what happens when I put that a little lower. Hey guys, hopefully you liked today's video, and hopefully on your next offshore adventure, it helps you out and you guys produce a couple more fish. Big shout out and thanks for Keith Johnson stopping in all the way from central Minnesota. It's 2,000 miles, guy. He drove down here and delivered a load to Key West. He's one of the great American truckers. So I've got some links in the description below to some of the products I'm using, some of the things I'm doing, guys. Feel free to click on them. Most of them are through Amazon. So if you have any questions, as always, just give me a shout out on the comments. And if you haven't had a chance yet, please smash that subscribe button and hit the like button if you like today's video. Captain Matt signing off for today.